That's unbelievable.
Thank you. Okay, we are on. So I would like to call the Morgantown Utility Board special meeting for Thursday, August 18th, 2022 to order. We can go ahead and open the meeting up to anyone in the public who'd like to address the board. If you do, would you please state your name and address and hold your comments to 5 minutes if you can, so that we can have everybody else allowed to give us some information as well. So would anybody like to address the board?
I'm Susan Elkin, I live on Coven Creek Road, 408 Coven Creek Road, right next to the interstate. And I contacted a number of my neighbors. Unfortunately, several of them had to work, so he's out of town. But one of them I know well, and she texted me comments. I can read it real quick. Here is my comment. This is from Teresa Evanhoff. She lives at 418 Coven Creek Road. Here is my comment. If we cannot get the road open for
Now,
residents
due to traffic concerns with construction and the people coming through, how is the traffic with trailers going to travel this area? Is the reservoir going to be monitored 24/7? It doesn't make much sense to build for clean water supply and take the risk of, hang on, here we go. It doesn't make much sense to build it for clean water supply and take the risk of contamination due to oversight. I also ask which representative is representing the residents of Coben Creek. MUB oversight does not give the city jurisdiction over property located outside of its containment area. And that is Teresa. And I also have one from Kristen Miller. She lives at the other end, and it is Coben Ridge, and I think it's number 14. In regard to the discussion of a park recreational activities at the Coben Creek Reservoir and Dam, I would like to take this opportunity to voice my sincere and deep opposition to this idea. I manage 4 horses on pasture just below the dam on Coben Creek. Every day I have to walk to the fields, remove dangerous litter carelessly thrown out of cars into my pasture. The plastic cups, straws, aluminum cans, glass, beer bottles, rotten food, dangerous metal objects, etc. pose a very serious risk to my horses, one of which is a colt, and everything goes into his mouth. I have politely spoke to passerbys not to open gate, feed the horses, pet the horses, and repeatedly ask to please leave the equines alone. By the way, things like that bite and we're liable. The additional increase in traffic where a park is to be created would increase the risk that is already present. In addition, Coben Creek Road, both upper and lower, are single-lane traffic roads, already treacherous to navigate with the horses as well as travel from one farm to the next for training and exercise. And she goes back and forth about 3/10 of a mile down the road and back again. It is simply not constructed to handle any additional vehicular traffic. They are not even constructed to allow cars and trucks to pass, with many places where vehicles have to back up around curves with steep drop-offs, mine is one of them, straight down, or deep ruts on either side. Many vehicles do not travel at a safe speed. They do not yield to horses, pedestrians, tractors, horse trailers, hay machines, and other oncoming vehicles. I have personally witnessed many near wrecks, heard busted tires from hitting the potholes, watched yelling matches between drivers, etc. I have never witnessed any patrol from law enforcement to control any of these issues. Since the construction on the dam commenced, the quality of utilizing Coben Creek Road for daily activities has become more dangerous. I personally have been looking forward to a time when the dam is completed and the traffic would go back to a more normal flow. The thought of increasing the traffic for a park seems incredibly unrealistic. Concerns for a park dam. Increased traffic on the road where the infrastructure already cannot handle local traffic. That road in most places cannot be enlarged without taking down fences or constructing, because mine, for example, straight down to the creek, solid rock, and on my neighbors, straight up, and other places like that. Where will parking be? There is no space. I don't know how many of you have been out there to see where is parking going to be. Now, I know that the Daltons own that one piece of property. Now, maybe since they're third generation, they'd be delighted in selling some of that, but I will tell you, it's a floodplain. My place is a floodplain. That road floods between two bridges. They come out and put up those sawhorses because of flooding. We just take it for granted that that's going to happen a couple times a year. The dam is so far outside of town, it would not be utilized, especially with trails at White Park already established. Where would the bathroom facilities be placed and maintained? There is already increased drug traffic on Coben Creek Road. All residents here watch the cars parked daily in the turnouts. Fishing. Fish would have to be maintained in a reservoir at a great cost. As a friend of the head of Fish and Wildlife, Mark Scott, in Charleston, this would be an ongoing annual cost, as I understand. In closing, I understand and agree that the idea of an additional green space park is tempting, but the location is not conducive for the Coben Creek Dam. At the Coben Creek Dam. The dam has already imposed great changes on the rural farms and lives of the residents around it. Please consider the great cost and impact it would have. Sincerely, Kristen Miller. Whoops, sorry. I had talked to, okay, I've got one more person that I'm going to represent, and his name is Gerald Sauburn. He also has a farm close to the dam. It was cut off from there. And when I talked to him, he says, "Oh, no, I can't believe it. I've already got troubles with animals and trying to get trailers up and down that area." He again told me he was sorry he could not come because he had another obligation. And as far as I am concerned, I wanted to say basically the same things. I don't understand how the city can impose on the county, people outside city limits, to have something like this. Who's going to pay for it? Is the sheriff planning on coming out? Is there going to be a resident ranger out there? When I grew up, there was a reservoir by the Army Corps of Engineers put in very close to where I lived. And the college students at the university loved it because it wasn't well watched over. And as a high school student, we used to like to watch the college students get caught when the police would finally come in, because they'd bring those flatbed trailers in with their bands and their generators. I also worry about people drowning, and I know that we're between two different fire departments, and how well those volunteer people are going to come out and help anybody that has a heart attack, a sprained ankle, or again, maybe a drowning. And I also say too is that road, the potholes are magnificent. I've accused owners of the driveways of being out there digging the holes at night. They are so cool and so deep you have to have a flashlight sometimes. We were fortunate that the highway department paved half of it this past year. We were so excited because you could go through without slowing down and falling into a pothole. And I'm sure it will take only about another year and a half, 2 years before the potholes will come back there. But the rest of the road hasn't been done. And frankly, the advantage is that it slows people down, so that if you do have your horses, and I have occasionally had my farm animals, that is sheep, they're not very good about watching both ways when they happen to get out on the road. And I know that the neighbor has had a pony get out and has had occasional cows get out. So this is the thing that goes on in farms. People that are coming in, they really don't know about how these animals are going to react, and the animals don't know what to expect either. And it becomes
Okay,
a
all right.
liability. So in conclusion, please make this what it's supposed to be, a source of clean water, not a park. Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts.
Next, this is Rebecca Singleton.
Wait a second. At this point, okay. Thank you. I am significantly vision impaired, which is why she's dragging me around. My name is Rebecca Singleton. I live at 225 Lebanon Street. I am only going to speak tonight as a paying MUB customer, and I am asking you, I heard Tom Bloom say that you should negotiate with the city to somehow work things out. And I am asking you not to negotiate in any way that's going to involve adding costs to MUB's responsibilities, which would then add costs to our MUB bill. I already pay a recreational levy. I pay all the taxes, B&O, property tax, everything else. I don't want another tax for recreation submerged into my MUB bill. I understand that this is going to affect the people out of Pompano Run, and I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that this is being used as a tactic to keep them from getting what they so badly need. But I don't think it's right to impose on us. If the city had come and said, we've got a federal funding, we've got a grant, and we will build facilities, and we have a maintenance contract that will last for the next 25 years, then I wouldn't feel so strongly about this. I still would be concerned about environmental and security issues. But really, my issue is this isn't right to impose on MUB things that have nothing to do with water. I don't want to pay for recreation tables or a jogging path or more kayaks or whatever it is they have in mind. I already pay a recreation fee, and I don't wish to have my MUB bill added. I don't wish anything added to my MUB bill that isn't directly associated with water. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Okay. Jenny?
You can't see this, so you don't know who's up there. Whose was this? Mine. I just want to make sure you. So I'm just here in the spirit of goodwill that we would ask from a city perspective that you consider the proposal that was sent to you. In response to some of the comments, and I'm not going to pretend to have a complete answer to the comments that happened to come right before me, but I just wanted to say that the idea behind this is that there be a recreation facility that does not cost MUB, that is paid for with federal funds that come from the COVID, from the ARPA program, and that the idea behind the agreement is that the MUB organization would be providing water and would be monitoring anything that had to do with water and making sure that any recreation facilities that were agreed to would be, not in conflict with that, and that the city and Beaupark would be responsible for things like trash removal and monitoring and facilities, and that they be paid for with these federal funds. So we're looking forward to figuring this out. We have no intention of not funding Pompano Run. I don't want to say double negative. We are looking forward to working, contrary to what anyone else might say, to working with MUB on the Pompano Run project, and we look forward to working on this project with MUB. And this was something that was contemplated and spoken about before the reservoir during the preparation for the reservoir and during the public hearings before it was as it was proposed and as it was designed. And so it's not something that is a surprise to anyone. And so if there's any questions or concerns, any specifics that you all would like more information on, please feel free to contact me or our deputy manager, assistant manager, and anyone else who can provide you with the information that you might need. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jenny.
Do you want this? Or do we just leave that here?
Sure what it is. Hi,
Hi.
Emily.
I said I wasn't going to speak, but I changed my mind. Emily Mazzarelli, 93 Village Park Drive. I just wanted to thank the board for bringing this to consideration for officially moving forward with recreation at the Flegel Reservoir and Dam. These discussions that I've been directly involved with have started over 4 years ago. Everyone has been in discussions and agreed that the value add of having recreation at the reservoir is something that is public good for everyone. West Virginia as a state is very much valued for our outdoor recreation. We have wild and wonderful in our state slogan, and we are finally being recognized nationally for this. We have the Brad and Alice Smith Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative, which specifically talks about the access to outdoor recreation is something that adds economic value to our community. We as a city have been working and a community have been working together to enhance our recreational facilities throughout the county. We have a program with Ascend West Virginia that's specifically trying to leverage the fact that we have all of these recreation amenities within our community to be able to attract people from out of state to live here. We do have an abundance of trails throughout our community, and that's something that we're trying to build upon. We are taking a lot of those trails to the next level to ensure that they are not causing any issues. We do have wonderful trails in White Park. WVU owns a great system off of Baker's Ridge Road. We are building those, expanding them upon our rail trails in many other places through Marilla. And typically when you look at recreational opportunities, the thing that always is a barrier to a lot of these things is the funding. And, for once, we actually have the ability to take funds that are one-time funds and spend them on these one-time projects to be able to really elevate them with a plan and an intention and now a knowledge and an experience base behind it with the Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative group to be able to fund and maintain trails. When we talked about this many years ago, we talked about how we can take the project and work together to be able to utilize different access roads or areas that MUB needs to be able to use to ensure that the reservoir is, in proper working form. We've even talked something as simple as being able to potentially train our dive team in the reservoir for training. So all of these things are really a partnership that we can move forward, whether we want to accept it or not. Any reservoir, any large body of water, whether or not there's recreation there, is an attractive potential for public misuse. You will have that whether there are trails there or not. You will have that whether there are people there or not. Most people, given the opportunity, want to do the right thing. If you do not provide trash cans and someone has trash, they may put it on the ground. But if someone has trash and there is a trash can, most people will put that trash into the trash can. So we have been working with Mike and staff to look at where we can have parking within the property, where we can have trails, where bridges. We've met with DEP, talked to them. We have received different guidance from the water standards. There's a lot of letters in there that said what type of recreation is very compatible with reservoirs and which is not. A perfect example is the idea of fishing. So we actually recently got contacted by the DNR and who has been wanting to stock that. And the great thing about that is they will actually send people to patrol. So one of the things with reservoirs is not wanting to have live bait, which is absolutely something that you know, we would be happy to work with to provide that fishing opportunity for as adventure or for as wild as a lot of West Virginia is. There's not really a lot of water bodies. So having those opportunities here locally just increases the community and really raises all of us. So I would ask that you please continue to kind of support the idea of working together to not only make another great water source for the community, but also enhancing the community through recreation. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Okay. I think that's everybody in the public. What's your nose, Mike?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have a letter from Steve Runfola. He sent it via email, and it's included in the board members' packets.
Right. Okay. So we can move on to the old business, which is the Flegel Reservoir Recreation Agreement. I guess just you don't have anything you want to bring up?
No, sir.
Okay. So I just want to make the comment that the purpose of this special meeting was to have a final review and a potential vote to approve the agreement for recreation at Flegel Reservoir that and dam that was dated July 28th of 2022. However, we received an agreement via email yesterday from Emily, the assistant city manager, at 4:06 p.m. that had some revisions to that agreement. Promptly after Michael received that email, he sent it out to both the board, all the board, and the staff. After a cursory review of the revised agreement, I personally was very encouraged that we could move this forward. However, due to the fact that the board hasn't had an opportunity to discuss the potential revisions, as well as discuss those with the staff, don't believe we're going to be able to make a decision at this time. What I would like to propose to the board is that we move into executive session to have those conversations and discussions as noted.
Would we then reconvene after the executive session to potentially act yea or nay?
I don't think that's, I think that, I don't think that's reasonable. I think there's some things that probably is going to have to be discussed with Emily and Jenny and whomever after we their revisions.
It's to be reviewed by Jeff for legal issues and whatever else, and so I think.
Yeah, I think we're very, very close, but I don't think it's a position to vote on after that.
Then would we be in a position to call another meeting for next week with the hopes that whatever these discussions lead to, in short order, return a document that we can approve?
If you're trying to really rush it, I'll vote no.
I'm not trying to really rush it. I'm trying to make sure that the public has an understanding that this is something that is going to come to a conclusion.
Well,
Let's talk
first
about
of
that
all, I
in
don't think
executive
we can say that it's going to come to a
Right.
conclusion until we vote.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
let's
if
talk
you're
about
asking what I think needs to happen, I think that we need to come to an agreement of the revisions that were sent to us. And then I would recommend that then there's a conversation between MUB and the city to discuss those what we agree to and what we may not agree to, and then come to an agreement, sort of in a, the right word is in a in-person meeting, and then hopefully have that agreement that we can vote on, and that where the Emily, Jenny, and their staff has the same feelings that we have at that time.
I'll say my main concerns on this are not necessarily tied to whether or not there will be recreation or what the agreement looks like for recreation. My main concerns are whether, despite whatever veracity has been said in public there is to the Pompano Run funding, I would like to make sure that those residents impacted are under an understanding that that funding is intact and that that project, which, as we approved at our last meeting, is moving forward.
Well, Eric, I don't know. I think you're asking for something that I can't answer. I mean, here's the board. The board has to approve the agreement. I can't tell you what the board's going to do.
Right. Well, but
Okay.
what I'm saying is,
And
can
they
we
don't even know
reinforce that we
We don't
did?
even know what the agreement is yet.
Right. What I'm saying is, can we reinforce the fact that at our last meeting, we approved $400,000 to E.L. Robinson to begin that Pompano Run work? I want to make sure that our ratepayers in that area are understanding that we are very much addressing those issues.
I think
Right.
we
We've
took
already done-
action on Pompano Run. Jenny just said that the funding is there from the city.
For a year,
Uh,
one-time funding.
the one, yeah, for the Pompano Run. I think the motions and the action we made at the last meeting was that was a health and safety issue, and that we were moving forward with that project, regardless of how this works out. Okay. But I also think that, based on what I personally saw in the revisions from Emily, that, we're very close. But I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to approve that revision, because I can't speak for you all, right? And I think that we're going to be able to come to what we agree to for the revisions. And my plan would be then to meet with the city and say, let's get this done. Right. Yeah, I think that we've had various back and forths, and they've been very encouraging. Every time we went back and forth, we've moved somewhere to a closer to an end, and this is just one step closer. And again, this is just my personal opinion. It's very close.
I'd like to make a statement, though. At the last meeting, I indicated that I wasn't sure what the rush was to get any type of planning and construction of recreational at the Flagel Dam and Reservoir. The dam settling will take place hopefully by winter. At that time, the water will start filling the dam, and it's possible that in 2023 or 2024, depending on precipitation, the reservoir will be filled, and then at that time would be available for recreation. So I don't think we should think that we need to be stampeded into getting recreation underway at the dam, since the lake's not going to be filled until 2023 at the earliest.
I agree, and if we're really that pushed on let's get recreation, then let's get White Park done.
Well,
But
I
tend to agree with Tom.
okay. I think those are all conversations that are reasonable.
To move that we convene into an executive session under the provisions of West Virginia Code Section 698-4B12 to discuss legal issues, and further move the August 18th, 22 special meeting of the Board of Directors.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move into executive session, as per the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you all for being here and voicing your concern.